Welcome to my grandpa's train. This is my first 300 AC locomotive that I had got way back when I started collecting American Flyer. This was in scrap condition. It's got styrofoam on it. This was in scrap condition. It was told it was junk just to throw it out, but I had other plans for it. It needed to be rewired. It's a little rusty on this side back here. There are no tender pickup wheels on it right now because I just put those in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's got a little rust down here, so it's seen better days. The last thing that happened on this that went wrong with it is that the side rods were jamming and hitting something, and it would clunk and it wouldn't spin correctly. So that is the main thing that needs to be addressed. We'll take a look at that, and then I will give it a lubrication, polish up the wheels, and put her back on the track and see if it runs. This here is a replacement, so this didn't have any wiring in it at all, at least going to the tender. So I replaced it with some semi-flexible wire. It's not as good as the original wiring would be, and it's got this big chunky block on the end of the cab. Inside, this is actually an old-fashioned telephone connection before the plastic snap-in type. But this is what telephone connections used to be. This block had 3 pins in it. I took out one, and lo and behold, the pins actually matched perfectly. Here you can see better the pins on this block came with it, and they happened to mate perfectly with the slots in the connector plate on the back of the cab. So if I were to take this apart, I could actually just use these 2 pins, but this is kind of unusual and goofy looking, and I like it, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So it sticks out, it's ugly, but hey, for a junk box engine that I don't really run too often, it's fine. Now, I'm going to get the wheels and axles out of the ultrasonic cleaner. They've been degreasing, so we'll get those rinsed off and over here. My cheap ultrasonic cleaner actually did a really nice job of polishing these wheels up for me. They were quite black and covered in carbon buildup all the way around on both sides, and I actually did have to mechanically remove some of the carbon because it was stuck on, but I ran it through, and this looks like a brand new wheel. This really shined up nice. This one's a little bit different material. I don't know if it's the same kind of brass or coated steel or what, but it's a little bit darker, but everything else looks... This one's a little dark too, but everything turned out really nice and clean, which is what we want for smooth running. Okay, while I let those dry, I'm gonna hook up power to the tender, and we're going to see what's going on with this thing, why it clunks. Seems to me that the issue is more like a reverse unit that's not behaving more than a clunking issue. Alright, well, we're going to pull this apart and figure out what's going on with reverser. It probably just needs a little bit of a polishing, because actually this is running way better than I thought. So let's get started on tearing this down. Okay, well this has been time-lapsed, but as you can see, the shell is off and we're down to the chassis with the motor and reverser still attached. But this was actually one of the easiest, simplest locomotives to tear down. In real time, this took less than, well, right around 3 minutes to get it to this point. If I wanted to completely pull it apart, which I'm probably not going to do, I'm just going to focus on cleaning the reverser. I can have this engine torn apart, cleaned, rebuilt in maybe an hour. It's really not that difficult to work on. Now, if you don't really know what you're doing, I suggest watching videos like this and take pictures to see what goes where. Otherwise, you'll be wondering, where does this piece go? Alright, so the next thing I'm going to work on this is pulling off these pieces on the reverse unit. That will allow me to get at the drum and clean it real good. In fact, that might end up going in the ultrasonic cleaner. While I'm doing that, all of the pieces that I have set aside up here too, I'm going to put in the ultrasonic because they're full of grease and slightly rusty and pitted. That will do a nice job of cleaning it up. Alright, the side rods and other metal pieces are in the ultrasonic, getting a bath. Next thing I'm going to do is take these very carefully and straighten these out so that I can get the fingers off without breaking this. These are quite delicate, especially because of their age. Now I need to do the front one as well. This big pliers might look a little overkill, but actually because the jaws are wider than these needle nose ones, I can get a full grip on these tabs without bending them out of shape. I can actually just turn it and the whole thing will turn instead of bending or twisting incorrectly. And then I can remove it like that. Alright, so this one was actually missing one of these finger plates. So this lighter colored one is a replacement. You can find these on eBay or other sites that sell American Flyer parts. This bottom one I'm probably going to twist a little bit and just straighten it out. But you have to be very, very careful with these fingers because they are quite fragile. The new ones are a little bit thicker, they're more robust. But on the other hand, if you're quite careless with these new ones, you can break them too. So just take care when you're working on these mechanical reversers. It looks like this is actually bent a little bit already, so this is going to come right out. This drum. There we go. So I actually went through and cleaned this once already, but it is kind of covered in grease, so I'll probably just stick this in the ultrasonic too. That should give it a nice quick shine up. And the other items are done. I heard it stop. If you heard that on the camera, I apologize. It's probably really obnoxious. Alright, while the drum is getting a polish in the ultrasonic cleaner, I'm going to take this little fiberglass pencil tool and go over these fingers very gently just to give them a bit of a polish. These new ones don't hardly need anything, but I'm just going to touch them up anyway since I've got it apart. And it took just that little bit of carbon off. Now this one I'm going to be even more careful with. This one has a bit of corrosion actually. I'm being very, very, very gentle with these. Alright, I got the drum out of the ultrasonic cleaner. It's still a little bit tarnished, so what I'm going to do is just use the fiberglass pencil and go over it real fast. I won't bore you with watching that whole process, but basically you're just polishing the metal pieces just like you did before. Here we go. I just did this side. I didn't do this side yet. You might be able to see there's a difference already. This side is a lot shinier and more copper colored. This side has got a little bit of tarnish on it. Alright, my drum is polished and I'm going to put it back in here. Okay, I got the motor I got the reverser put back together. Turns out it just needed a little bit of oil on the drum for the pawl to operate it correctly. And now it is operating the way it's supposed to. So I am going to get the rest of the pieces that should be dry, and I'm going to get this put back together. Now these pieces I put through the ultrasonic cleaner and they didn't come out 100% perfect. But what I do want to get rid of is any extra black oil that's on these pieces. It's the same idea as it when you change the oil in your car or get your oil changed in your car if you don't do it yourself. If the oil is clear, that means you have proper lubrication. If the oil has black in it, that means you have a lot of dirt in the oil and it's actually going to cause more wear on these parts. Alright, time to put this back together. So first thing I'm going to do is put the motor assembly back into the shell. Just like that, our locomotive is put back together. Now I am going to test this before I finally attach the tender to the engine, just in case there's something goofed up. Alright, it appears to be operating correctly. So I'll just attach the tender and then we'll take this over to the layout. After I put the wheels on the tender, and we'll take it for a spin and see how much this thing can pull. Alright, we're over here at the layout, and as you can see, this is not the 300 I was just working on. This is my other one, the 1947 or 1949 edition. It's the older one with the 4-piece boiler. I'm going to remove this one and put on the other one. Let's just park this back here. And here's our later model Atlantic with the simplified valve gear and the 1-piece boiler. Let's see what kind of a train this thing can pull. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this servicing of a 300 AC American Flyer steam locomotive. This thing really flies. As you can see of the performance of this engine, having a clean reverser drum makes a huge difference in performance. This thing, no problems going forward or backward. And the other thing is, this one's simple. It doesn't have any smoke or choo-choo, just basic reliability. All right, thanks for watching.